Good afternoon, morning, whichever time you're watching this video. It's a great day to be a flying lion. I wanted to reach out to you guys. I know with having the work day for tomorrow and working on grades, wanted to make sure we give a little space for a break from an afternoon meeting. A couple of updates, important things that I really want to make sure that we adhere to and look at. After Labor Day, so when we come back from break, those who have middle school recess, or if you're taking classes outside, be aware that construction on the ADA ramp and other pieces in the front of the building will be taking place by that time. And it'll be in stages, so you'll want to make sure that you kind of check in each day to see if it's okay for recess or a class activity that will be outside on the front lawn. I know it's tough with these constraints as far as areas and places to take the classes outside, but it'll all be over soon, I promise. Mr. Campbell will let us know when we're able to go out there, and we'll be able to see that progress in the front. So the front will be shut down as far as parking or anything else after Labor Day. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. I'll try to keep you as up to date as I am up to date. Construction is always a weird thing. You know, it takes pauses and everything else. You can probably hear a little bit of it in the background right now as they're working on some things here up on the third floor. Next big piece, hall passes. I know it's not an easy situation to try to navigate hall passes and kids asking to go to the bathroom. There are a couple different things that come with that. Kids either not wanting to be in that classroom period, kids struggling during that time to stay attentive. And that has nothing to do with you personally. It has a lot to do with really where kids are as far as their levels. When kids are behind, oftentimes they don't want to be in that classroom setting. I know that's stuff that you know already, but we have to adhere to no pass in the first 10 or last 10 of class, unless there's a doctor's note or a note from a parent saying that there is some issue that we don't know about. The children in our classes should be able to hold it that long or utilize their passing periods appropriately. So Ms. Harris and I are going to be enforcing that in the hallways. So even if you give a student a pass, we're going to be sending them right back. Now, we'll have a conversation with them. If they're giving you a hard time, let us know. We will definitely make sure that they have the appropriate consequence and the restorative piece of letting them know that this is the way that they're going to have to operate. But in order to keep the hallways clear and keep students accounted for, we should not be sending them out in the hall after they just had a 5-minute passing period. I'm hoping to have an assembly sometime very soon, and we might just have to break it up into homerooms. I might come by and schedule times to talk to each homeroom over the next week and a half or 2 weeks. But it's essential that we do that piece because they're missing out on learning, and it makes your start and end of class time very hectic if everybody's going in and out during the beginning and end of your classes, and it's only a 50-minute period. Behavior ladder. Want to make sure that you guys still have that. That's this little sheet here. Was created by, I believe, the middle school team last year. This is very similar to a ladder that we used at my prior school when I was the head of school. It works very well. That green area that you always think about, that's the teacher managed spot. Those are the things that you can handle within the classroom. It's a simple redirection. Maybe it's a coaching session during lunch or during another time that you're working with that student on something that is not a distraction for a period of time in your classroom. Things that become a distraction, or you've warned them and you're struggling with that during that class period, please contact myself or Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris on channel 13, myself on channel 16 if Ms. Harris is not available, and we will come and work with the student. If we send that student back that class period, that means that they have been agreeable to what we talked about. It could have resulted in an after-school detention now that started. It could just be a redirection based on relationship and rapport. If that student continues with that behavior after coming back, let us know so that we are able to work with that student to give them the redirection that is needed and the consequence that is needed based on the action. Now that's the yellow. Now that red tab or that red piece of that ladder, that is when it's going to be handled between myself and Ms. Harris. That's generally more severe, or we've tried detention, we've tried other pieces, we've tried redirection, and that student is still doing some of the same things or the more severe things like fights and things of that nature. Those are administratively handled. Let's make sure we're checking that out, and also the behavior matrix that was shared at an earlier meeting. I know sometimes it can be a lot to look at, but doing these things early on, going through your classes on a regular basis and talking to them about what things are respectable, things that are safe, and being responsible. Those are the main pieces of positive behaviors, interventions, and supports that help students to understand and to learn. That's a teaching part as well, to learn how they should be operating in every part of the building. In your classroom, what are your expectations, and going over those pieces. Once you go over those pieces and students are starting not to do that, now we're to the point where we need to make sure that we're making the call. I put that on in a parking lot as far as relationship building, tip number one. We have to make the call. I know sometimes it's difficult. Maybe there have been parents in the past that have been, more aggressive in tone and in language when we reach out to them, or not receptive. But the first line of contact, we're trying to work with a student, especially in that green stage of the behavior ladder, is to reach out to the parent one-on-one. If you can't get that call, or if you need us to help with getting Ms. Nogales, if language may be a barrier to that conversation, we can help you with that as well. But we have to be able to make the call and use the sandwich method, finding something good about that student, something that you love about having that student in your classroom, sandwiching in that part that they're struggling with at that point, and finishing with something encouraging and strong in that conversation is very helpful to building rapport with the parent. The triangle that is needed is parent, school, and student. So we, as a school, we need to make sure that the parent and the student understand that we're all on the same page. That student needs to know that we are on the same page with the parent, and it will help behaviors moving forward. If you have questions about how to do this, I'm more than willing to meet with you to give you strategies on proper meetings. The other piece that comes with that is that, then the documentation. Maybe a parent does not contact you back, or you don't get a chance to talk to them verbally. Make sure that you send out a written response to them, letting them know what the issue was, telling them about the great things that you see for their child, and what we need to do as a response. I'm here. I've got your back, supporting you in that. If a parent is, just not agreeing with you, if a parent is being hostile, if a parent is just not operating the way that we need them to, let me know. All right. In that conversation, say thank you, so much. Please contact my supervisor, Mr. Pierce, our upper school dean, and you can have that conversation with him. I'll gladly have that conversation with them and work with that family. But 9 times out of 10, that first call, that initial call, is very helpful. One thing that has also helped, another tip that has helped in the past that I've done with some of my previous schools, are positive calls and positive notes. Sending a positive note when you catch somebody doing something good is really good, because you develop a rapport before it's a negative connotation, before it's a consequence that you're calling that family for. Again, a little bit of extra time in the beginning of the school year makes for the majority of our school year being great. We're 1/8 of the way through. So if the other 7/8 of the school year is great, because we put in a little bit of time in the beginning to make those calls, make those relationships, and hold students accountable by educating them on the proper way to do things within our classroom, within our school setting, is going to be a great benefit to us for the remainder of the year. It also sets up positive culture for the next school year when we're inviting new students in. One thing that we will have in the future, we will have orientations when school starts back. Now that COVID is over, and that we're all kind of I'm getting things under my belt and understanding how the school functions, what's available and not available. We will make sure that we have orientation before school starts next year, so we can go through some of these things with the students, with some fun activities involved to get them excited about the school year. It's time now that I need us to be thinking about great positive reinforcements to do with the students. What are some different clubs and activities that you would love to host once a week? Or, you would love to suggest and see if someone else is willing to host once a week. Student government in middle school, we need somebody to spearhead that so that we can get that going and they can start getting trained under the high school SGA so that we have that track record so kids know there's things to look forward to. I want to eventually have food truck Fridays for the high school once we get all of our ducks in a row. So what are some positive things that we can plan for our students so that school is not just a drag for some kids, but they can come here and understand that they're getting their voice? In the logic stage and the rhetoric stage, those are two difficult stages to deal with, but if done properly, we can set these kids up for amazing success and make our lives a lot easier. So think about what are some activities that we want to do. Let's brainstorm those activities and let's get them on the calendar. Definitely want to brainstorm a time for a community day. We were able to do that successfully in the past, and it really helped with our school culture. We were having some issues with behaviors that coming out of COVID last year. Those community days were phenomenal to help that bridge that gap, to help reteach some things, taking a half day or a full day to go through breaking kids apart into different segments and having them go through those different segments, dealing with restorative practices, how to talk about some of the difficult things that are going on in society. How do you deal with maybe the conversations that you're hearing at home? The parent that may be talking about racial tensions and their views on that, political tensions and their views on that, religious tensions and their views on that. We have kids who are coming from a diverse population who are dealing with things in a different way. How do we help them to navigate their feelings and their thoughts in a healthy and helpful way so that it does not become conflict and negative culture within the school? Community circles are great for that. Having different programming and people in to guest speak is great for that. And then we ended that day by having a part of the day where whether it was kickball, whether it was video games. We had a couple people bring in their video game systems and had Madden tournaments and Mario Kart tournaments. It became a phenomenal atmosphere, and then relationships were built outside of just the educational classroom with students and with staff members, that they had trusted champions in their lives, that when they had a rough patch, they could talk to that person in order for them to get some resolution, in order for them to get some game spit to them in that way, meaning talking to them in a way that they could understand, but that we saw some results in their behavior, some results in them following the expectations that were set forth. We don't want to assume that everybody understands and knows, because students spend more of their time outside of school than in school. And so whatever influence they have around them is what the ways that they're set in. So our job in breaking some of those maybe bad habits and teaching them a way that's different, that's going to lead them to the success that they're looking for, is going to be beneficial. So we want to do that together. Our next few meetings, we're going to do that. We're going to break apart and start talking about some of these different activities that we can plan to bring some restorative practices, tutoring sessions. We have some young ladies in the high school that want to earn some time, some hours that they can put down on applications and things of that nature for National Honor Society, for college applications. They want to start a tutoring program. And we also have some funding that we received that Ms. Goodall let me know about that's going to be for tutoring. We're going to be setting that up in this next quarter and for next semester, so that students have the help that they need at the times that they need, and also that we can teach some of our students who are really wanting to help other students, whether in grammar or middle school, with tutoring. A lot of our students are behind, and we know that they're behind, and they need our help. They need our assistance. So the last piece that I'll talk about a little bit, respectful, responsible, and safe. And if you want to throw a fourth one in, I love to talk about engaged. You may hear me sometimes in the hallway telling kids in class, on time, on task. This is all part of positive behaviors, interventions, and supports, which is also, that abbreviation PBIS. These are things that help with positive school culture. We want to be a high school of character. And so when we speak to students and we teach them how to be respectful, responsible, and safe and engaged in every area of the building, it also translates in them understanding how to do that in all walks of life, whether when they leave here, they go to college or they go to work. All right. So we're going to talk about in the next few weeks, how do we really model that? You'll see that on that behavior matrix that I shared out earlier this year during one of our meetings. Respectful, responsible, safe, and I love to throw in engaged. So when you're in class, it's not just okay for you to be on time and to be in class, but also now that last piece, let's finish the equation, let's be engaged. How do you engage? What does engagement look like? What does safety look like? When we see kids with the straps off the back of the Crocs, when you see kids, having a good time, like they're playing around, but it's not a safe thing. Teaching them that it's not safe before it becomes a matter that they learn from something actually happening. We talk about that as, hey, that's not a safe behavior while you're here at school. This is something that you could do during this time. Being responsible. Far too many students are going to class and coming right back out because they forgot their notebook. They forgot their folder. We're in week four now. It's time for them to have that natural consequence. If you forgot it, you forgot it this time. And you're going to remember it next time. But if we keep sending them out, they're going to keep going out. So we're teaching them then at that point how to be responsible. It's one thing if it's the first time. If you have that same kid going out every single time, there's two things that need to happen. They need to understand that can't happen. They can't keep going out. And number two, maybe it's time to have just some conversation about basic organization that they need to learn. That's another step in this stage that a lot of students need to learn, how to be organized. They trust their phone, and that's their safe haven. That's their tool. But how can you utilize your Chromebook? How can you utilize a planner? How can you utilize these different things to make sure that you stay organized? It's an essential practice to teach the students how to be responsible for their own stuff. Responsible for if they have on the wrong clothing. Letting us know if a skirt is too short, if pants are sagging, if they have on the wrong pair of pants or the wrong shirt or hoodie for the day, holding them accountable to that, letting us know. We try to catch some, but we don't catch all. We'll talk about the best ways to make sure that is reported and that the appropriate consequence for that expectation is handed out so that they remember. We have to work together and respectful. So in the logic stage, for instance, for middle school, kids who are talking back, that is a natural time that kids do that. It's the logic stage. It's when they're questioning. They're questioning who they are. They're questioning authority. They're questioning the why. And so it's a simple redirection of, whether it's the right timing, the right tone, or the right topic. If the student is talking about something that is not the right tone, topic, or time, we simply redirect that student to a time that is appropriate for them to have that question. We want them to ask questions to get the understanding of what they need on a day-to-day basis. So let's work on that piece with our students to teach them how to be respectful. If it's not a good time or they are taking away from class time by being a really negative distraction at that time, let Ms. Harris or I help out with that redirection of teach them how to be respectful. Step by step. It's going to take time. And then I said that was the last piece, but one more piece, timeliness. It's very important that we are here on time or you've alerted your supervisor, which is me in this case, that you've alerted me that you're not going to be here on time or that you need to leave early. It's important if we're looking for you for something, if a student is looking for you in the morning. There was one morning where there were multiple people on the same side of the floor who were all late, which means that there are a bunch of students who had already been let up who were not supervised. We can't have that happen because that becomes a liability. And if anything happened to a kid during that time, parents would have the right to be very upset and actually take action. So if you're going to be late, you need to let somebody know, and that shouldn't be often. Let somebody know that you're going to be late so that we can make sure that we have coverage in that area during that time. More will come too as we're trying to tweak also that sub, how we go about the sub process. Ms. Harris does a good job of making sure that we, if we have subs, that we have them in the right spaces, but we really want to fine tune that tracking piece and making sure that everything is in a one-stop shop for you to be able to go to. And if you need a time off, remember the big piece to remember, if you're pre-planning that time off, it's great to send an email to Ms. Harris and let her know that you're going to be off in the future. If it's like the morning of, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you've been up throwing up or whatever it may be, and you know you're not going to come in, make sure you call that subline that she provided in the email that she sent out a couple weeks ago, so that goes to the Google line that goes to her, so she's able to see that a little bit sooner in the morning. Because email she might not see right away. And then also when you email, CC me on there as well, so that I'm aware, and I can help Ms. Harris out too, because sometimes we have more people out than we have people available to cover. And we want to make sure our kiddos are safe and they have a place to be, and they have a lesson in place. Lesson plans and subfolders should be completed by now, and want to make sure that lesson plans are always ready to go prior to 8 a.m. that morning. In the best case scenario, kind of the way that I learned when I started teaching, lesson plans really should be done by 8 a.m. on Monday, a skeleton of what you're doing for the week. I know that we reteach, I know that things happen, but we want to make sure that we plan, because we never know when we're going to be out for, people who've been out for COVID. You never know if something happens and it's a surprise that you're going to be out and you're not able to put forth a lesson with you being out. It's important for us to have something for subs to be able to do and to follow, because here at ECA, we don't want it to just be babysitting. We want to make sure the students are continuing to progress and that there's order within the classroom structure during that time. That's it for now. If you have anything that you want to add, please always, the 825 agenda, so that's the August 25th agenda from last week that we didn't end up having, is still there. I know several of you, I saw you sign up to meet with Ms. Ua tomorrow during the work day. That's awesome. We want to walk through that MTSS and EC and all those pieces, because it's a team effort. When it comes to making sure our students who need services are provided those services effectively, efficiently, and fervently. And so if you have not signed up to meet with her, or maybe the times don't work, or maybe you see somebody who's part of your team that signed up for that time, jump in with them at that time, so that we can get everything that we need taken care of and done, and we get all the understanding and learning that we need to get done. That's it for now. Touch base with you guys later. Have a phenomenal day tomorrow. Remember, once your grades, progress reports, you've emailed Ms. McAlexander, you are free to move about the country, as they say on some airlines, but you're free to go and enjoy this long weekend. Get some rest, do something fun. The job that you do is not an easy job. And your batteries have to be charged in order for us to even start to begin to help other young people and mold them in the way that they should go. So love you all, appreciate you all. And again, don't hesitate that on the previous agenda, the last meeting that we've had, you can always add things on that parking lot. And that's what I look at to build our next agenda out. So please do that. And hope you have a blessed evening or a blessed morning, depending on when you're watching this. Peace.